Welcome back to Scarlet Maize, our first basketball episode of the year. It might be a little bit before the next one, but kind of a preview. We're just going to start off similar to how we started off for football, for the regular show. But why we love college basketball? I'll let you go first. Why do you love college basketball?
I love college basketball because anyone can win at any given point. And March Madness is so fun for making brackets, but then when an upset is in the works, you root for the upset even though it's going to destroy your bracket every time, and it's just so fun.
I'm with you. March Madness is a huge part of it. I remember one time I was in high school getting out for the day during March Madness, and I walked out into the Commons area, and there were TVs all over, and there were different games.
Nice.
And on one TV, it was a great ending. I looked over to a different TV, great ending. Looked to a different TV, great ending. And honestly, that point is still stuck in my head of that's always my expectation for March Madness. It's rarely met anymore.
In my opinion, I don't think the first weekend of March Madness has ever disappointed.
Yeah. Especially coming out of the year where there wasn't the tournament. Last year was so...
Yeah, I guess that was the only year where the first weekend did
when Michigan lost to UCLA, I was obviously bummed out, but I was I'm glad basketball's back.
Yeah, and man, Johnny Juzang, he was so fun to watch in that tournament.
He was. He was crazy. Especially when he got hurt for a minute in the Michigan game, I was oh, this is going to change everything. And that dude just toughed it out and just kept getting buckets. Man alive. But I also, just going to Chrysler, even when they were not good. So I had a friend bring me to a game when Robbie Reed was the point guard. He was my favorite player, little white blonde guy who could shoot threes. I loved being at Chrysler. My friend took me again a few years later when they were in the NIT, and it was at Chrysler, and I loved it. And then before COVID, me and my wife would go to a bunch of games each year. I'm looking forward to going to games again this year. Chrysler, I've told my wife, I've told people, what's your favorite place on earth? Honestly, Chrysler is up there. I love everything. So they play this Blues Brothers song. Just the environment, just basketball. There's not a bad seat in the house, unlike football. It's just I just love college basketball.
It sucks for me being an Ohio State fan in Lansing, Michigan, because I have never been to an Ohio State game at Ohio State.
Maybe we should go.
I've seen them play. I'd be down. I've seen them play at Michigan State, and it was an awesome game. It was on Valentine's Day when Mark Levine was playing against Denzel Valentine, and Denzel Valentine hit the game winner, of course. It was just so fun.
So just like the football episode, who is your favorite Michigan basketball player of all time?
Okay, my favorite Michigan basketball player of all time is the one that got away. He was from Columbus. He was teammates with Jared Sullinger, and we didn't even recruit him. And it wasn't like he was a low recruit. He was a 3 or 4 star, depending on your source. But we didn't even recruit him. And he's from Columbus, and it's Trey Burke, and he ended up being amazing.
National Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Imagine if Jared Sullinger and Trey Burke were teammates at Ohio State, man.
Yeah. Growing up, my favorite basketball player in general was Steve Nash. I grew out my hair for him, honestly. But Trey Burke is not only my favorite Michigan basketball player, he's my favorite basketball player of all time. In part because
he'd have been teammates with Aaron Kraft too, that backcourt. Oh gosh.
Him and Sullinger, childhood friends, whatever.
Yeah.
I think they'd have won the whole thing. But Trey Burke, coming out of the dark years of Michigan basketball, Darius Morris kind of brought it. They got back to the tournament, okay, and then Trey Burke obviously just took it to a whole new level. And Trey Burke just made me I always liked Michigan basketball. Trey Burke made it so much easier to love Michigan basketball.
Yeah.
And like I said, I like going to games when they were terrible. It's just the atmosphere when they're good is
And I don't
amazing.
blame Trey Burke for going to Michigan. If you're from Columbus and you grew up there and you don't get recruited by them, but you're getting recruited by the rival.
Thank you, Thad Matta, for letting him go. Who's your favorite Ohio State basketball player?
Okay, this was really hard for me to pick because, players come and go. D'Angelo Russell came to mind, but he only played 1 year. His passing was incredible. I love watching him. Aaron Kraft is obviously the easy pick, being as young as I am, but A close second to who I picked is John Diebler. He was so fun to watch hitting all those threes. But my favorite player, and you probably wouldn't have thought of this. I don't even know. Like he was kind of wasn't a big guy. He wasn't necessarily even a star. But he was just so fun for me to watch. He had a 46-inch vertical, was flying over the gym, had insane blocks. I swear he had an alley-oop every time they were on the court, caught an alley-oop. And Sam Thompson, I just loved watching Sam Thompson.
I actually, the first player, so I'm actually changing my answer because I remember being at a Michigan-Ohio State basketball game at Chrysler.
Yeah.
And the first Ohio State player, basketball or football, that I was able to enjoy watching while they played for Ohio State was D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
I loved watching him play.
Yeah.
And I think Spike Albrecht went off in that game, and they actually won.
Wow.
It was the year where like everyone was getting hurt for Michigan, but Spike Albrecht was just
Ohio State was bad that year. They barely got out of the first weekend or the first game. I think they didn't make it out of the first weekend, but yeah.
But yeah, D'Angelo Russell is so fun to watch. I thought he was so good. I mean, he's good, but
yeah,
whatever. You have something else?
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. So recapping, looking ahead for Michigan this year, just to recap, unless you ask Illinois fans, they won the Big Ten regular season championship, made it to the Elite Eight, lost a close one to Johnny Juzang and UCLA. It was rough. They lost Isaiah Livers, Shawnee Brown, Mike Smith, big man Austin Davis. They're returning big Hunter Dickinson, Eli Brooks, Brandon Johns that are contributors, and then also Terrence Williams, Jace Howard, Zeb Jackson, Adrian TikTok Nunez. They also gained another point guard transfer, Devontae Jones from Coastal Carolina.
Does he have a mullet?
Devontae Jones?
I'm just kidding. It's because
I wish.
Coastal, they all have mullets out there on the football team.
There's not many hairdos that would make me more of a fan than Mike Smith's last year, but no, he doesn't. Caleb Houston, 5-star lights-out shooter. Musa Giabate, another 5-star. Frankie Collins, probably going to be the backup for Devontae Jones, at least starting out. Kobe Buffkin, Isaiah Barnes, Will Cheddar. So all of them except Devontae Jones, obviously, are who made up what ended up being the number 2 class in the country.
Yeah. Well, and I think some, depending on your source, I think they were even the number 1 class in some sources.
I think they got passed late by Memphis, but whatever. Number 2 is pretty good. So yeah, that's who they lost. That's who's coming back. Zach, you got Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State finished 5th in the regular season in the Big Ten. They were runner-up, lost in overtime to Illinois in the Big Ten tourney. They had a first-round loss to 15 seed Oral Roberts. I mean, it was just an off game, but I mean, no excuses when you lose to a 15 seed. Yeah. They lost Dwayne Washington and C.J. Walker, both huge contributors in the backcourt. They lost Musa Jallo, who came off the bench to transfer. They returned E.J. Liddell, one of the top scorers in the Big Ten. Kyle Young, Justice Suing. Kyle Young's actually a COVID super senior. Right. Justice Suing, Michi Johnson, Zed Key, Seth Towns, Jimmy Sotos, Eugene Brown III, and Justin Arns all saw some playing time last year, and they're also, in my opinion, solid players. They gained Joey Brunk, who actually transferred the year before, but it was out for injury all last year. They gained Jamari Wheeler, the Penn State guard transfer, and Cedric Russell, also a guard who transferred from Louisiana. They bring in Malachi Branham and Kalen Etzler from freshmen there, a couple 4-star freshmen. Yeah. Couple solid freshmen there. So,
how do we think Ohio State and Michigan are going to do both in season and then tournament potential? So this isn't where we think they're going to go in the tournament, but like sort of their ceiling for the tournament. Okay. Let's go Ohio State first. Do you want to go first because it's Ohio State?
I kind of talk about them both at the same time.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
I see both teams finishing similarly to where they did last year. I don't think Michigan will win the Big Ten this year, regular season. I mean, the Big Ten tournament's so hard to predict when everyone's so good, but I think Purdue, with everyone they bring back and even add in a couple of solid guys, will win the Big Ten with all that experience. But I think Michigan will probably finish second, and then I think Ohio State will finish a little bit better than last year in third. They lost, like I said, those backcourt guys, but they brought in some solid pieces, and that front court has a lot of guys coming back. E.J. Liddell is one of the top scorers in the Big Ten. Michigan brings back Dickinson and one of the second best class in the country, and yeah, I think the ceiling for Ohio State, in my opinion, I could see Elite Eight, Final Four ceiling, and I mean Michigan could win it all.
All right, fair. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. Ohio State, I'm guessing
That's like my ceiling though. I would not predict Michigan to win it all.
And that's why I clarified, hopefully clearly, that it's not where we predict, but sort of just best case scenario. Ohio State, I think will finish top 5 in the Big Ten. I think they'll be a top 5 seed in March Madness. I think they have Elite Eight potential. We did not talk about this ahead of time, so that's fun. I also think Michigan will be top 3 in the Big Ten, top 3 seed in March Madness, and have championship potential. So we pretty much are right in line there. Big Ten champions, regular season, who do you got?
I said Purdue, I got Purdue, regular season. I think in the Big Ten tournament, because why not? I think Ohio State and Michigan will play in the Big Ten tournament, and I think Ohio State will win it.
Oh, no. Big Ten champions, it was hard. Especially trying to not have just maize and blue glasses on, but I picked Michigan again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last year. I mean, I think it'll be a close race. They could easily not win it, but that's
I just realized I contradict myself, because if Ohio State finishes 3rd and Michigan finishes 2nd, they can't play in the Big Ten championship. But we'll see how it goes.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Big Ten Player of the Year.
So the Big Ten only brings back 3 of the league's top 10 scorers in Tracy Jackson Davis from Indiana, E.J. Liddell of Ohio State, and Purdue's Travion Williams. I think my early nominee for Name of the Year is Fats Russell. But
Gotta be.
I think Purdue will be the best team, and I think typically the best team has the Player of the Year, and so I like Jaden Ivey to win Player of the Year this year. I think it's partly because it's not typically a big guy award. I know Luka Garza won it recently, but he was just a freak, and I think Hunter Dickinson can be that guy, or even E.J. Liddell. In my opinion, they're both great players, and E.J. Liddell is a great scorer, which is fun to watch. But I think it'll be Jaden Ivey.
Okay. I picked old Kofi Coburn.
Yeah.
So part of me, I picked him in part because I didn't want to just pick Michigan and Hunter Dickinson. Kofi Coburn shut Hunter Dickinson down, and he's running it back. There are players that come back and don't do as well. Hunter Dickinson's, even if Kofi Coburn wins Big Ten Player of the Year, I think Hunter Dickinson could have improved more than Kofi Coburn could have improved. Just like Hunter Dickinson, he's old for his grade, but he's still a lot younger than Kofi Coburn.
I think it'll be interesting because I'm pretty sure I could be remembering this incorrectly, but didn't when Ayo Dosunmu was out last year, Illinois play better?
I don't remember if they played better. I think they did. I mean, they played well enough to almost win the Big Ten.
So it'll be interesting how they fare with Ayo Dosunmu out.
Yeah, and they lost Adam Miller. It'll be interesting. They're not the same team.
Did I say out? I mean, he's off the team.
Yeah.
He's in the draft.
Right.
He's drafted.
Big Ten thoughts. So I think MSU is going to be interesting because last year they were pretty bad until Aaron Henry really just started taking over every game. So if Tyson Walker ends up legit, if they struck gold like Mel Tucker in the transfer portal here, I think MSU could easily exceed expectations. And I say that because the AP poll just came out. We'll get to that later. I think they could easily exceed expectations and be pretty good. But if Tyson Walker ends up not very good, I think they could easily end up on the bubble again since they don't have Aaron Henry to carry the entire team, Tom Izzo and all. But so I'm really interested to see if Tyson Walker ends up being able to make the jump to Big Ten basketball. Yeah,
and my Big Ten thought is with only returning 3 of their top 10 scorers, will the Big Ten be the best conference again? And I think they will, and I really hope that someday we can win the conference. Someone from the conference can win a national championship again. Because man, it's been what?
Been a while.
2000 was the last time.
I think so.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Man alive. I said Michigan top 3 in the Big Ten, and I picked them to win. I kind of alluded to it already, but I think Illinois and Purdue will both be right there. So you picked Purdue, right?
Yeah.
So I do think Illinois is going to be right there. I do think Purdue is going to be right there. I
Yeah.
could honestly see Ohio State being right there.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State could be fun because they're incoming players, but also losing Dwayne Washington. It's
Yeah.
like it's so different. It's crazy. I'm excited to see.
Yeah. I loved
what
Dwayne
they're
Washington
doing.
in his game, but there was times where it was like, wow, this guy's incredible. Then there's times where I'm like, wow, get your head out of your butt.
Mm-hmm. I mean, against Michigan, he always played really well, and I
Yeah.
was tearing my hair out.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any other Big Ten thoughts? I have one more.
I still think, even though we're not returning a lot of our top scorers, I think we still have some great players. You got Kofi, you got Hunter Dickinson, you got E.J. Liddell, you got Ron Harper Jr. and Geo Baker, Rutgers. Like, there's still lots of great players, and I'm Jaden Ivey and Travion Williams from Purdue, and yeah, there's a cast
I
of
feel
really
like
good players coming back still.
Big Ten football is an Ohio State football conference.
Yeah.
And Big Ten really is like a great basketball conference.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But
Yeah, that
Nebraska with a 5-star recruit. Let's go. I predict. I predict that they almost make the tournament. Let's go, Freddie Oiberg. But the first AP poll came out.
Yeah.
Let's do the top 10, and then if there's any other Big Ten teams, you got it.
Okay, so number 1 is Gonzaga, then UCLA, then Kansas, then Villanova, then Texas at 5, rounding out the top 5. Then we got a couple Big Ten teams. Michigan and Purdue are 6 and 7. Then Baylor is 8. Duke and Kentucky round out the top 10 at 9 and 10. Illinois is just outside the top 10 at 11. Ohio State is 17, and Maryland is 21. And there's no other Big Ten teams ranked.
Is there anything? What do you think? Any thoughts on the first AP poll? Like, honestly, and again, I know I'm coming off as this big homer right now. I feel like Michigan is a little bit low.
Yeah, I mean, basketball's similar to football. It's so hard to rank like preseason. I mean, there's nothing I can really have a fit about.
I feel like the one notable absence, Michigan State.
Yeah.
I mean, I said my thoughts. I think if Tyson Walker ends up legit, I think they'll be ranked. I think they'll make it, win the games, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kind of like football, but
right. I
whatever.
mean, that's the thing with the AP poll. The first one
Preseason,
the preseason poll does not matter.
Right.
Just win your games, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this is going to be the first one, or the last one for a little bit until basketball starts. We're still figuring out exactly how we'll do this, how often we'll do this, especially when both football and basketball are going. But we're going. So drop a comment about anything you want us to add, any segment, any question you have, whatever. But other than that, we'll see you for the football episodes.
Yeah.
And then not too far away from basketball season. Can't wait.
Get your cider and donuts at Quality Dairy.
As always.